late breaking casting for the Suicide Squad movie has come through. Kind of some ones that we knew, kind of some shockers, and they kind of revealed some characters too that kind of really leave you scratching your head and wondering what they're going to do with the movie.
I know.
The big one is the big shocker has to be Will Smith as Deadshot.
Indeed, definitely caught me off guard. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure they'll figure out a way to work in his weapons training that we've seen in Independence Day and Men in Black.
Wild Wild West.
Wild Wild West. Hancock, he looked pretty good as a superhero there. It'll be interesting to see how he plays it. Myself, we've talked about before, it's like race doesn't matter in comics, but it's interesting to recast Deadshot, who has had different iterations over the years, but he's primarily been, I believe, like South American or
a Spaniard.
A Spaniard of sorts. And we apologize if that's totally wrong, but
we just can't be bothered to use Wikipedia at the moment.
It's not accessible. But that aside, I mean, Will Smith, seeing him as an assassin, and I think it'll be good because Deadshot's always been one of those characters who, for the most part, is a good guy. And if you are a fan currently of like Arrow, and more than likely we'll see him pop up again in Flash, and I forget the actor's name who's currently playing him.
No.
But you know, he's always kind of been the anti-hero. You know, he's not necessarily a Punisher of types for DC in the sense that Deathstroke is, but as Deadshot, he's always been, you know, he pulls the contracts for the right reasons.
Yeah. So him, another one that kind of shocked me was Tom Hardy is going to be, what's his name?
Rick Flag.
Rick Flag.
Jr.
Rick Flag Jr. It was like a couple letters away from being who I really wanted to be, which is Ric Flair. Because the Nature Boy in the Suicide Squad would be the best thing you've ever seen.
Yes.
Come on, Holly! Woo! Stalin, profiling! There's like a 20-minute scene where he refuses to leave until they bring him a limousine to the jet. Anyways, that's fantasy. But anyways, and this is going to be Rick Flag Jr.
Who we're trying to determine which iteration they'll go with. For those of you that have followed in the comics, you know, Rick Flag's been around for 3 generations, or actually 6 generations, but he's the third. Well, this is the Amanda Waller Suicide Squad is Rick Flag Jr., as to where Rick Flag Sr. is a World War II sort of Captain America type of character. Here we're assuming it's going to be modern times, and they have announced that it's Amanda Waller. Really hoping Oprah gets the call on that one. But
Death and Destruction. These are some of my favorite things.
You've got a free bomb.
You've got a bomb, and you've got a
bomb. Anyways, back to the point. Tom Hardy, I thought the casting's great. I love him as an actor. The only thing I find interesting is after trying so hard to establish him as Bane, although they did get away with the fact that he was in a mask almost in that movie, and a majority of people didn't even realize that it was Tom Hardy as Bane.
And he's one of those character actors too that totally just, you know, he becomes kind of like Jared Leto, who's the Joker. He totally just becomes that character. He totally throws himself into it. You know, you can say like Nicholson. Every time Jack Nicholson is in a movie, it's a version of Jack Nicholson. Well, this one is very much so. You know, he can very much play a different character. So I think they'll kind of get away with it. But like you said, it's still weird. Being The Dark Knight Rises is still very fresh in everyone's mind.
And if anything, I would recommend people check out Bronson.
Yes.
As far as a nice little staple piece in Hardy's repertoire. He is a great actor. He can play crazy. I think him as Rick Flag will be a cool. It'll be a cool fit. It's interesting, I guess, that they didn't go with more of like the stereotypical. How do you want to say, like military actor role?
Your Channing Tatum,
you're right. Who's been booked for other projects?
A Josh Duhamel, if you will.
Yeah, I could see Josh Duhamel.
Shout out. Local.
Minot. It's just up there.
Minot. 2 hours north. But yeah, the big other one is Jared Leto, which everyone, kind of the worst kept secret in Hollywood was that he was going to be the Joker. What we still don't know, though, is how big of a role he's going to play. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think he's just going to be kind of a flashback kind of thing? Or do you think they're totally going to go for it?
I myself, I would prefer if they go flashback, give the comic fans a little bit of detail. The other thing with this, it's kind of walking that fine line, because to my knowledge, and viewers, please correct us if we're wrong, but Joker has never necessarily had a direct Suicide Squad affiliation. I mean, he's always been his own thing. I mean, I know he's recruited them for different things. I know he's had Deadshot involved in other projects, things like that.
Yeah, he's hired them before.
He's hired them, but then the Suicide Squad that we've come to love, and especially if you're following the new Suicide Squad from DC, which is just a handful of issues in, you know, he has absolutely nothing to do with any of that storyline, other than the fact that he used to be Harley's boyfriend, and at this time, you know, she's pretty much over it. She's finally becoming herself again, and understand, you know, her own homicidal self, we'll say, without the Joker hanging on her.
You know who should have been? You know who should have been Joker? Stedman.
There you go.
So we got Oprah as Amanda Waller, and we got Stedman as Joker. Anyone who's like younger than 25 has no idea what I'm talking about. Yeah. Nor should
Stedman.
You. It's not worth looking up. But other one that was was a terribly kept secret was Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
Margot. Because apparently Margaret wasn't a good enough name for her parents. Margot Robbie.
Yeah. Which we're probably pronouncing completely wrong.
Yes.
I haven't checked the IMDb. I don't know if she's an American or French gal, but I'm sure there's a fancy name to it.
Margot Robbie.
Yeah, Margot as Harley. Overall, I guess if you're basing it on looks, could be a cool fit. Throw her in some pigtails and some leather pants. Looking good. But the key is capturing Harley, who at this point in time, Batman animated series, and as well as some of the other cartoons, it's pretty well established that Harley Quinn needs to be just nuts. She has to be smiling, laughing, and killing at almost all times. You know, I'm shopping, hanging out with Catwoman and her pals.
The big one that was kind of weird for me was they were throwing around Robbie's name, but I kept thinking of what's her name? She was in Sarah Marshall.
Kristen Bell.
Kristen Bell, who has been lobbying for that part for years. You always hear, whenever you hear that movie, she was apparently throwing her name in it, and I don't know if they thought that she was maybe too old at this point, which
pregnant.
Is weird because
she's very, very pregnant.
That's right. Or because she's like 32 and still incredibly attractive, but
damn you, Dax Shepard.
Yeah, Dax Shepard. And another character was Enchantress. Played by Sierra. What was her last name, Turners?
Delevingne.
Sarah Delevingne. Who, once again, kind of an obscure character, which is weird because Marvel has an Enchantress too, which is the one that I knew, who is kind of a Thor villain. This Enchantress, though, is apparently a Supergirl villain.
Yep.
Or
Power Girl.
Power Girl.
Yep. And,
which is Superman. It doesn't matter. Yeah. It's Power Girl.
So, I mean, hey, you throw them in there. It's interesting not to see some of the other staples. Although we did see, we got Boomerang in there.
Boomerang, yes.
Captain Boomerang, which will be cool. And again, you know, another villain that we're getting used to right there on Arrow, going on CW right now. And that's a character, you know, they're going to have a year or two. We'll see how long Arrow lasts on TV, but they're going to see a lot of parallels. And I think the fans are going to want a lot of that crossover, which I know some of the actors from Arrow and Flash have already not shown their displeasure with the announcements, but it did sound like it was a bit rushed.
Arrow dude was pissed.
Yeah, Stephen Amell, because
he was pissed about Flash more than anything.
Yeah. and rightfully
Which
so.
I agree with,
The
yeah.
timing, and I agree with the timing of the announcements from WB was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Just mainly because here we're going to announce the whole point of the Flash being this big super new show, super exciting new show. It's going to give you the new Rogues Gallery. It's going to give you all the villains you didn't get to see in Smallville and all the villains that you may or may not see crossover into Arrow. And WB, I don't know if this was just a fan demand thing. Like here's Marvel left and right, telling us what we're having for lunch in June of 2027. Here's DC saying, you know what? Okay, we need more announcements because the Batman versus Superman thing isn't working right now. Although I am most excited for that. This, as of now, they're saying, what are they saying? Fall 2016, perhaps? They didn't announce a date yet for Suicide Squad, have they?
Yeah, they did. It's going to be one of the sooner ones.
Okay,
After
so
it's going to
early
be
2016.
Yeah, it's going to be one of the
before Batman.
No, I think it's after.
After, which would be
Because next year is Batman, Superman, and I think the year after we get Suicide Squad.
Okay.
If I'm remembering that correctly, I could be very wrong. Yeah. Once again, I cannot be bothered to look at Wikipedia.
Yeah.
Information at my fingertips, not worth it.
And although we broadcast on the internet, we don't have the internet. Anyways, Suicide Squad.
Casting, that's everything you need to know. If there's anything else you need to know, there's not.
No, this is your last stop, so thanks for watching.
That is the worst sign-off there's ever been.
Ever.
All right, go do some picks. I'm tired of looking at you.